It's a Teen Talk Skating podcast where I embarrass myself. Hello, and welcome to another episode of a Teen Talk Skating podcast. My name is Van Gogh, and this is episode number 22 of a Teen Talk Skating. Very exciting, just like the Taylor Swift song. But yeah, this is probably the most random episode ever made, but I will explain the whole concept behind it later. But yeah, it is pretty random. You can tell by the title. It is a very random kind of episode. But yeah, that's like the shortest intro I've ever done. We're gonna go right into the program of the week. Program of the week. Alright, so hopefully the intro is not too annoying for program of the week. But our program of the week this week is very much a throwback to the 90s. This is such an exquisite program, and I really mean it when I say that. It is Chen Lu's 1996 World's Free Skate to Rachmaninoff Concerto 2 in C minor, which is kind of a mouthful. But Chen Lu, oh my gosh, this program is utterly beautiful. It's so refined is the word I kind of think about. I know I always say that, like, there's always one word that comes to my head. Refined is what I really think about with this. So refined. Like, the skating skills in this are, like, insane. Like, it's not even, like, intentional artistry. It just feels like unintentional artistry that is just so refined. And, like, you can tell that she's just, like, in it. You know what I mean? Like, she's in it. And Chen Lu, she's just such a great skater here. But kind of particular moments I really like in this program. The beginning, it doesn't really start so immediately, I guess. It really starts off very slow, and it feels aware. I don't know. It just feels so aware of, like, the environment around it. It just feels very awake and aware, but not moving. And it's beautiful. And then oh my gosh, the jumps back then, I feel like the 90s did jumps, like, better, I just feel like the jumps in the 90s were just so different, especially Chen Lu's triple lutz. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. And it's not like a huge triple or anything. It's really a triple lutz and then a double toe, but it's just a beautiful triple lutz. It's just a very nice triple lutz. Some other moments in this, kind of like the spins, like, they fit the music so well, and you feel like you're watching someone whisper. It just feels like so like whispery, and like so, I don't know, just like the crowd during it wasn't like, they're not like, yeah, like, they're really just like, they're in it too. Like, it really entrances you into it. It's mesmerizing to watch. The outfit as well, it's just like this really, like, plain black outfit, but it's just so well. She just really looks like she's skating unintentionally. We're just watching someone skate. We're not watching someone skate at the 1996 World Championships. We're just watching someone skate with refinement and with their passion, and it's beautiful. Like, again, like I mentioned last week with Roman Sadowski's White Crow program, music for me that is very light and elegant, it's very easy to skate, very heavy to it, it's very easy to overpower it. But like Roman Sadowski, Chen Lu does it so well, and this Rachmaninoff program is one of my favorites, and it's underrated in my opinion. But yeah, Chen Lu's 1996 World Free Skate Rachmaninoff Concerto 2 in C minor. Go watch it, because honestly, it's so artistic. It's like fine art done, But yeah, see you on the other side for the main episode. Bye-bye. I'm still here, I promise. That was your program of the week. Okay, now it is time for the main episode, and I do have some skating news before this. Last episode, I did mention 2 skaters that are currently involved in a very, very disturbing incident, and I don't want to even talk about it. the whole, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, is to do with the Korean national team. And to be honest, I don't even want to talk a lot about it because the information right now is kind of unclear and it's kind of all over the place, but I do not accept this kind of stuff at all. Like, this behavior that has been reported is definitely not fine at all. The two scares, I did mention them last episode when I mentioned, the Grand Prix and stuff, and I just want to say I do not go with this behavior at all. Do not accept it. And if I do mention those two skaters in the future, it will just be their name and, what placement they got in a competition, or if I do a prediction, I think they're going to win, because figure skating is all politics, and sometimes the people who win are definitely not good people who do terrible things. And yeah, I just do not accept this at all. I really encourage you guys to keep up with it, do your own kind of research, because the situation right now is kind of unclear. I don't want to say something that's not right, that's not true. More every day, something is going to unfold with this, and yeah, I do not go with this behavior at all. But yeah, if I mention those names, it will just be a brief second because they won a competition or something, or I think they're going to win something, because the judges, again, figure skating is all politics. The people who win are sometimes not good people, and yeah, I do not accept this behavior at all. And yeah, it's just really uncomfortable. And yeah, please go do your own research if you do not know what I'm talking about the Korean national team. It is pretty big right now, so yeah, but I do not accept this behavior at all. Just want to say that. And so yeah, we are gonna go on with our episode. So the format of this episode is essentially a bunch of random rants that I've collected together. Basically, they're ideas for episodes that I've had, but I don't have a lot to say about them because they're kind of smaller topics, and so they wouldn't constitute a whole, 45, 50-minute episode. And so it's kind of like a collection of random rants. Just think about like, it's kind of short stories if it's like a short story collection. It's not a whole novel, it's not a whole thing I'm trying to tell you. It's really just short stories. That's what I'm kind of going with. It is a pretty random episode. The rants in here are just about everything in the sport, and yeah, it's really random and it's not really on the same topic, I guess, but it's just random rants that I wouldn't have a whole episode for, so that's why I'm putting them in a collection, basically, and I hope you guys like it. Okay, rant number 1 is what I'm naming the episode after, and it is called Yes, Figure Skating is a Sport. Oh my gosh, you guys, this annoys me so much, and it probably annoys you too. I don't see it super often. I do see it around sometimes. People on the internet are being like, oh my god, figure skating is not a sport. Like, this sport it's not even a sport. It's like some like game at this point. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure figure skating is a sport, and here's why, basically. Because I get so annoying when I see this. I'm like, figure skating is a sport. Because I'm fancy, I even searched up a whole definition for sport. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, a sport is a game, competition, or activity needing physical effort and skill that is played or done according to rules for enjoyment and or as a job. Now, I believe figure skating, it falls into this. Figure skating can be a competition. It is also an activity. It requires physical effort, right? Like, you're not just standing on ice and you're fine. It requires skill. There are rules according to skating. Now, whether we follow those rules or not, the judges, I don't know. People do it for enjoyment, and some skaters do it for, their job, which is like, the competitions that we see. They do it as a job, like a real job. Okay, so according to the definition, figure skating is a sport. But just in case people aren't convinced, I do want to say, I think people tend to see figure skating as not a sport because, one, it's very subjective. Of course, it's not like a race where, you just run and whoever's the fastest and wins, gets to the finish line wins, right? It's not really like that in figure skating. It's really subjective. The judges assign like GOE and artistry. It's very subjective. As I mentioned before in previous episodes, you can't really define it, I guess. And 2, I feel like it doesn't tend to look like very like, oh, harsh, and you know, people are fighting in the sport. It's not a combat sport, you know. It's not like we're wrestling over the ball, or you know, we're hitting each other, or you know, it's fencing and we're like trying to stab each other. I don't know. It's not like that, right? And I feel like that's a lot of a reason why people tend to perceive figure skating as like not a sport. Like, where's the fighting? Like, where's the, you know, where's like the aggression? Like, but that's not figure skating. And figure skating is a sport, people. And so, yeah, I do think people tend to think it's not a sport since it's pretty subjective in judging, which I totally agree with, and it does need to be, you know, fixed and stuff. And the second point, it doesn't look like it's so aggressive and, man, we're gonna brawl, la 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 la, you know, but that's not figure skating, guys. But anyway. And another argument I tend to see is like, oh, it just looks good. Like, figure skating is just to, like, look pretty on the eye, la 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 la. No. No, 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 no. Like, figure skating is not just, like, la 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 pretty, okay? Like, imagine, like, jumping, okay, spinning in the air 4 times in a matter of less than a second, and somehow landing on a blade on ice that is literally, the blade is literally, like, less than a centimeter thick. Like, that's not a sport. I'm sorry, like, in pairs, imagine just getting flung across the ice, spinning 3 times in the air, and somehow landing without, like, breaking your head somehow. Crazy, right? Or, like, you know, literally holding someone up, spinning around on ice, and hoping you don't drop them. That's a sport. And I'm crazy, but, you know, even ice dance, I feel like ice dance is another example. People don't see ice dance as a sport, because there's no jumping, there's no throwing, but, like, spinning on a blade back and forth in a circle is so difficult. Like, oh my gosh. And, like, some of the lifts are absolutely crazy. Like, just carrying someone by their, like, you know, ankles or something is crazy difficult. Like, you can never, I'm sorry. It is not an easy sport either, okay? Like, not everyone can go on the ice and stand on it, right? And, like, just do all these jumps and everything. I know that from experience. I'm not doing a triple axel anytime soon. And, you know, people get injured. Like, this is a real sport that people really get injured from. And injuries are so prevalent in this sport. People have career-ending injuries, too. Like, people, like, you know, some knee injury or foot injury, or their back is a big problem in figure skating. You know, usually something on the lower body region, their foot, they broke their toe, la 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 la. Like, injury is so prevalent in this sport. It is a sport, right? And, like, maybe we don't see injury a lot on the ice, especially people get injured more during their competition or whatever, but injury and training is so prevalent in figure skating. And again, no, you can't just get up and do it. It's not easy. Like, this is a sport. You cannot just do it. Again, you know, it requires physical effort and skill, according to the Cambridge Dictionary. No, you can't just get up and do figure skating. Like, that's not a thing. Like, you can't just get up and do it. And ice is so slippery. Like, it's just, you know, awful how ice is so slippery. And yeah, I really do believe, bottom line, people who say figure skating is a sport probably haven't watched a ton of skating in their life. They probably haven't sat down and watched a proper competition and seen all the stuff that goes on with all the skaters and all the falls and all the, you know, step outs and turnouts and, like, mistakes and pops, and it's just awful. But yeah, like, literally do not say figure skating is not a sport in front of me, because I will find you. But yeah. Yeah. So yeah, figure skating is definitely a sport. If you don't think it is, I'm sorry, like, you're wrong. Like, I don't usually say that, like, you're just wrong, I'm not gonna listen to you, but, like, this is one of those things. Like, if you say this is not a sport, I'm not listening to you. I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm not gonna hear you. Sorry. If you say it's not a sport, bye, out of my life, bye. But yeah, I do know some people who are like, what? Figure skating? Like, you watch that stuff? I'm like, yeah, I do, because it's actually, like, the hardest thing to do in the world. And they're like, no, la, 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 la. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, that was the first rant. Again, kind of a short story vibe, I guess. Second rant. This rant is very interesting. I feel like AI is a very big, you know, theme these days in our society, in our culture. AI is like, you know, people are scared, like, AI is going to take over the world. You know, people are using ChatGPT to write their essays in English class because, you know, why not? people are doing this and that, whatnot, enhanced technology, not even AI, like just like technology getting better in general, especially with, there's all these things these days. I don't know, I'm not really a tech guru per se, but all the new iPhones and Apple Watch, and I just got an ad in my email for like this like super advanced typewriter and like stuff like that. Like our world is becoming so technologically like dependent, with Alexas and Google Homes, and with like smart home devices and like those fridges that you can call people on, and like those glasses that like you see things. I don't know how to say. Like the smart glasses, I guess. I don't know. You can tell that I don't keep up with this kind of thing. I'm a very simple technological person. I'm still using like, I don't know, pen and paper to write sometimes. But yeah, it's just the thing about technology. That was long, but technology and AI, especially in figure skating, obviously, is because that's the podcast. It's called the Teen Talk Skating. But technology in figure skating doesn't feel like the most advanced to me. Now, I do want to point out an incident. I believe this happened. I'm pretty sure I didn't come up with this in my head because it feels real. But I believe it was the 2022 World Figure Skating Championships, the men's short program. Si-Young Lee of South Korea, he had his score changed after the short program because the judges forgot to put in the 1.1 times bonus for the jump he did in the second half of his short program. If you don't know what I'm talking about, every time you do a jump in the second half of your program, it gets a 1.10 bonus in terms of base value. And to me, that just points out, like, I thought it would be automatic. You think like the computer or the program or whatever would say like, oh, it's been halfway through the program. Now the next jump that the technical controller puts in is counted as 1.10 bonus. But no, I guess that's not the case. I guess it's the manual process. And, I'm not an expert on judging or anything. I don't want to say maybe there's a good reason why. But to me, it just feels strange that it wasn't, like, an automatic process. Like, the computer didn't recognize that, oh, like, 2 minutes through 1 minute, 20 seconds through the short program has happened, so the next jump gets a bonus. But no, I guess that's not how it works in figure skating. No idea. But it just came up to me as, like, an example. Like, technology doesn't seem like the most advanced in figure skating these days. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the most advanced. Like, okay. I don't know why it wasn't be automatic, but okay. Okay. And so, one cool thing I have seen, I don't know why I've been doing it, but I have consumed a lot of random tennis content recently and a lot of badminton content recently. I'm not even, like, super passionate about those sports or anything. Like, I don't even know, like, the players. I just know, like, I just like watching it. It's really satisfying, the ball and the birdie and stuff. But one system I've seen, they have these really cool line systems where you're on a tennis court. I'm going to explain this because this is a figure skating thing, but there's lines on a tennis court, and if you hit the ball out, then you don't get the point. But if you hit the ball like on the line, then it's still considered in if you hit it there. And so they have these systems. It's like electronic or something. I have no idea, but it's so cool. They track the computer, like, knows where if the ball hit the line. So the ball will hit the line, and then the player will say, oh, no, I don't think that was out. I think that hit the line, and so it was in. And so they'll check on the computer, and they'll see on the line system, and it shows, like, oh, the ball was super, super... It's, like, so exact, too. It's really crazy. Like, the slightest hair of the ball is in. It's just so crazy. Now, I'm not sure if, this is super, super accurate. I have seen it used a lot in the different tennis matches I've watched or clips or whatever. It's not really AI either. It's just really an electronic system that tracks it. But that'd be so cool. To me, this is one thing I would love to see in rotations of jumps. This is a hot topic in figure skating. Judges do not know, judges don't really know what, under rotations look like. I don't want to say that, but the technical panel or whatever, like, the jumps are never, like, you can tell when jumps are under rotated. Like, sometimes you can tell, and then they don't mark it, and I'm like, if I was the judge, like that's definitely like a quarter, or I think it should have gone in downgrade or whatever. And so I would really love to see if this type of line system that's used in tennis and badminton, if it could be perhaps implemented into figure skating, and see, maybe the ice, I don't really know how it would work. I don't want to say like I could do this, but if some type of maybe similar system could be somehow developed. I'm not saying I'm a mad scientist, I promise. But, when the skater's blade like hits the ice, like, there's some system that tells them if the jump was under rotated. Like, let's say you're doing a Lutz, right? Like, let's say the system knows where your blade hit the ice, when your toe pick hit the ice, and you're rotating, and then you land. And the system tells the judges where you landed, and it says if it's under rotated or not, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I hope. Like, the system knows by the impact of the blade, like, where the skater landed, and if it was under rotated or not. Even if they try to, like, sneak it around, like, and make it seem like they didn't do it. So that'd be a really cool system, I would say, if we could perhaps do that. Because, under rotation are, like, so uncalled. Edge calls, too. I could see that with edge calls. And whatever other stuff they want to do it with. Like, spins, maybe. Okay, camera angled. Johnny Weir mentioned on one of the U.S. broadcasts, I feel like it was maybe at Nationals or perhaps at one of those Grand Prix events. I want to say maybe like, it was definitely during this season. I want to say it was Nationals and before, I forgot. One of these events, Johnny Weir was doing like the post-program commentary, like they show slow-mos of the program. And he was saying like he wished judges got more angles to the camera to see check rotation, because he said, we as the viewers, like at home, can see multiple angles of the jump from the different camera perspectives they show, but supposedly the judges only get to see one angle and one angle only of a jump, which is absolutely crazy to me. They don't get the multiple camera angles like we do. And so I definitely think this is a reason why, like, maybe these jumps aren't getting called properly. Now, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but Johnny Weir, he is pretty much, he's a figure skater, he's an expert, and so I do trust what he has to say. But yeah, they don't get multiple camera angles for judging. They only get one, and, it'd be really good if they could see multiple. Again, another example of how this sport, it just doesn't seem like technologically advanced to me. I don't know. But yeah, multiple angles is so important, so I don't know why they don't allow judges to do it, because, you would think they want judging to be as accurate as possible, right? But, Now, moving on to the topic of not advanced technology, but AI, artificial intelligence, it's taken over my life. I'm kidding. It does feel like it kind of is, though. But, Yuzuru Hanyu actually wrote a college thesis on AI, and I personally have not read it. I know some fans have translated it, but, as part of his college education or whatever, he wrote a thesis on AI's use in figure skating, I believe. Or I believe specifically, if I remember correctly, it was on tracking skaters' jumps, which is, pretty relevant to what I'm talking about currently. But with AI, I feel like it is not as advanced as most people think it is. It does not know everything. One example, this is really obscure. I study Swedish in my free time, and I asked ChatGPT once, give me some examples of very advanced Swedish vocabulary. And it was just very simple vocabulary that I got back. Like, it was not advanced at all. Even when I put, there's a system called CEFR, CEFR. It is like a rating system for how good you are at languages. Even when I put like the top level, like I need words from this top level, and the words that ChatGPT spit out were not very advanced at all. They were very like, you would learn this pretty soon as you started. Like, it was some random words. I really do not remember, but they definitely were not like, I've never heard this before. Like, I definitely knew what these words meant. I remember, I think one of the words was excuse me. And, like, you don't know that by the time you're at the top level of the language. You don't know how to say excuse me. But, yeah, I definitely do think that AI is not as advanced as most people think it is. That's just one example from my weird little life. But, I definitely think it's not the most advanced thing ever. It can be wrong. We know that. I attended an AI education talk once, actually, But yeah, AI is definitely not all the time right. I would say, like, it's some of the time, most of the time, I would say it's, like, pretty spot on, but I don't think it's right all the time. And so, even if an AI did come out for figure skating, I don't think it's going to see its use anytime soon. Testing it would be so cool to see. I would totally be into that because technology is great, and, like, it'd be great if we could try that. But honestly, even if it got super, super advanced, I can't see it being used in figure skating specifically unless it was very, very well trained in figure skating. And even if then, we would have to, like, watch it and monitor it, constantly to see if it's good. But in terms of AI and judging more specifically, I personally don't like the idea of AI for the artistry side, the component side of the sport, because I do see, again, artistry is so subjective. As I discussed before, artistry is super, super subjective. And, there's certain levels of it that, like, oh, like, this skater is probably the lower end of artistry, but this skater is definitely the higher end. I guess you could probably see that, and that's a hard maybe. But like I said before, how do you tell someone is a 10 and how do you tell someone else is a 9.75 in skating skills, right? That's the part I struggle with. And if people struggle doing that, do I really trust AI doing that? At least for the artistry side, because again, artistry is super subjective. But for the technical side is a lot more objective, right? The opposite. We're learning some antonyms here, people. But the technical sides are, if a jump is under-rotated, it is under-rotated. We can see that. We can tell. We can slow down a video and see, okay, that is a quarter under-rotated. The blade hit the ice too soon, or the blade didn't go all the way around. So we know that, and, as fans, we know that. The judges, maybe not. But the fans, we know that, we can slow down the video however many times we want, put it on 0.25 speed, and see that a jump is clearly under-rotated. Now, do I trust AI doing that? Honestly, I think I would. Again, if AI become advanced enough and it was trained with figure skating specifically and it was tested over and over again, because, you don't trust something on the first try, that's for sure. But yes, I definitely think for the technical side, yeah, that'd be cool. And specifically for jumps and maybe spins, a step sequence, I don't know if we could really count the number of steps and all. I really don't know, but yeah, it would be very hit or miss, I guess I would say. Risky, I would too. And so if it was used, I would say there has to be people watching it, people who are trained with AI, and stuff like that. Again, money is a big factor. AI technology is definitely expensive, and I can't see, like, your local small rank competition having AI for its judging. No, I really don't think that's really gonna happen. Like, maybe at major events, Grand Prix final, European Four Continents, Worlds, but, like, the smaller events, like, your local event at your local skating club, unless it somehow becomes cheaper or you guys have a lot of money, I just don't think it's going to work, basically. But even if it wasn't used in judging, I think it'd be cool to see it in training purposes. Like, maybe it could track if skaters, again, under-rotate in training, maybe not in competition, but maybe it could help them train their rotation so that when they do go to the competition, they rotate more cleanly. Or, etc. With their spins, maybe their spin is a little more centered when they go to competition because they learn from feedback from the AI. You know what I mean? But again, this is all very theoretical in the future. I have no idea. But yeah, still needs a lot of work. And if we did use it, I don't think the human judges are going to go away for a very long time. Same in sports like gymnastics, for example, or diving. I don't think that can really happen yet. I know those sports are a little more technical, I guess, but I really don't think it's going to happen. Like, for example, going back to tennis, they have that line system, but they still have a referee. So I don't think the referee is going to go away, basically. And obviously the judges have tons of different purposes, not just judging jumps, They, give feedback to the skaters, too. So I think that's really important. Okay, connecting to judging, rant number 3 is called Judges Aren't Paid, question mark, question mark. Because apparently judges don't get paid. I was gonna become a figure skating judge, everybody, and I was gonna become filthy rich. But judges aren't paid apparently. Apparently they only get their like basics paid, like the flight to the competition, the hotel, the food, etc. Which is still good, obviously, but like there aren't judges who are doing judging for like their full-time job, basically. What I learned from doing some research is a lot of judges are, fans of the sport. Obviously, they enjoy the sport. They skated themselves before, or, they have some type of connection to the sport. And, they actually had to take the week, like, they have to take vacation days out. Like, they have a separate job because they can't support themselves judging figure skating. And so, they might work at whatever, and they have to ask for vacation off to go judge a competition that they're not going to be paid to judge. But you know what? I guess it's good for, like, a vacation, and, like, that's nice and stuff, but I wish the judges were paid, like, at least a little bit, like a stipend or whatever it is, however much for the competition. But as far as I know, the judges aren't paid for their judging. They're more paid for, like, being there, like, hey, here's some of your amenities and stuff like that. And even then, like, I'm sure they probably have to pay, like, some of their own expenses as well. If they want, like, whatever, souvenirs, like, extra food and, better hotel room or something. Yeah, so I think judges really should be paid. I don't know. It really got confusing when, like, judges aren't paid, But, yeah, judges should be paid even if, like, I don't know. There's just no reason judges shouldn't be paid to me. And I have no idea if maybe the judges are paid from their own country. I assume not as well, because figure skating, a lot of federations are not super, super rich. So I don't think it's really happening. Okay, number 4 is going to be my favorite rant. It's called Jason Brown, the legend. Also, Dennis Vasilyevs. Because I had a random dream. Oh my god, this dream was so random. I had a dream. I was sleeping on Tuesday, and I had a dream that I saw the scoreboard. It was at the, next year's Worlds, 2025 Worlds. 3rd place, Dennis Vasilyevs. What? I would love that so much. I'm telling you, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Like, I'm manifesting that so hard. Like, please, Dennis Vasilyevs, 3rd place at Worlds next year. I would cry, I think. And also, apparently in the dream, I went to the women's event. It was at 2 in the morning. I don't know why. Even if it was in Boston, it was at 2 in the morning. It was like, oh my god. But yeah, it was at 2 in the morning in my dream. But yeah, really random. But Dennis Vasilyevs, 3rd place at Worlds next year. If I get this right, I don't know. I'm gonna go fly to Latvia. I don't know. But anyway, Jason Brown, the legend. I believe Jason Brown is just... This is basically a Jason Brown, like, fan post, I guess. But he is such an example of how artistry ain't dead yet, It's not in its grave yet. Artistry is very much alive. Because he's been 5th at Worlds twice. Despite, again, not having quads, it don't matter. He got his artistry. He's also been national champion. He's qualified at the Grand Prix final in the past. With so many other accolades. He's been national medalist, Challenger Series medalist, etc. And as far as I know, Jason Brown has never been outside the top 10 of any competition, despite not having any quads, which is so impressive considering most men have 1, 2 quads these days, especially, the toe loop in the saddle is very, very common these days. It's really becoming, kind of the standard. And I love Jason Brown because he is such an example of how you do not need a jump to win any competition. I mean, you do need jumps, but you don't need a quad, okay? Like, you can look at a quad in the face, punch it away because you don't need it. Artistry still matters. And if you do not have artistry, it is very hard to... Let me formulate my thoughts. It's very hard to really have that side of you that's not just the technical side. It's hard, you know what? It's hard because if the technical side falters, you fall, maybe you step out, you pop, the artistry side can't really make up for that because if you don't have the artistry side. But Jason Brown is that skater who has mastered, and I will say that, he is the master of the artistic side right now. And I'm so excited to see him this season. Not in person, but I wish. But I am so in love with Jason Brown because you know what? He don't need the quads. He got his artistry, and that's given him such amazing results. Fifth at Worlds twice in a row is crazy because quads are like everything these days, they're saying, and Jason Brown's just, he's the unicorn for us, and he's the best. And I would honestly really rather watch his quality triple jump instead of some shaky quads because, sometimes when skaters like hang on to those quads, like really hang on, and they swing their leg around to save it, scares me so much. But Jason Brown's light, airy, elegant triples, like I will watch them any day over some quads that scare me to my death. And I really do hope, especially, I think this is really important to say as well, I really hope Jason Brown serves as an example for younger skaters. Because, there's younger skaters coming up. One day Jason's going to retire. That day will be the day I cried my eyes out. But I really hope younger skaters are coming up and they're going to realize that, yes, the jumps are important, great. But if they don't have an artistry side, like the artistry, it's not gonna be good. And so I'm glad that components like this, because if we just had a sport based on jumps, I would not be watching. I guarantee you, I would not be watching this sport if it was just jumps. Basically, I wouldn't be watching because I came in for the artistry side, and I'm so glad Jason Brown is that person for me. And I really do hope the next generations, they focus on that side as well. And so basically, I summarize it in a little sentence. I really hope that I find a generation where the sport is still advancing technically, but there are still skaters working on skating skills, interpretation, artistry, etc. So yeah, I do want the sport to grow. Yeah. Do I want to see a quintuple? Yeah. But do I want to see artistry too? Definitely. That's what I want to see. Okay, that was rant number 4? Okay, rant number 5 is deciding the prettiest jump once and for all. So many people have a favorite jump or combo. Oh my gosh, I love seeing the triple axel. I love seeing so-and-so's, triple loop, whatever. And obviously it depends on the skater, and obviously it depends on the person. Everyone has a different appealing. I feel like the jumps are all art. But I would like to put out my personal little opinion out there and say that my personal favorite jump is any loop combo. And specifically, the loop is the second jump because I love to see a good triple loop. Ooh, so beautiful. Or a nice, double axel, double toe, double loop. I love those kind of things because the loop is so clean. Because the loop is definitely way harder than the toe, obviously. But basically, if you're doing a triple lutz, you land it, and you don't put a toe back to, support you or balance you. You have to get right back in the air by sliding your right foot, if you're, a counterclockwise skater, to do the loop and get right back in the air. You can't put your toe down, basically. It's so, you don't pause, basically, is that what I'm saying. You can't pause. It's a jump where you go. You can't pause. You have to go. So, examples of triple lutz, triple loops that I like, or any triple loop jump. I loved Jungwon Cha's triple lutz, triple loop. It's stunning because he does a triple lutz, it's clean, and then he just gets right back up, triple loop time, and it's beautiful. I love that. Other skaters, again, it's not a very common, you definitely see triple lutz, triple toe a lot more, and I mean a lot more, because it's a little easier, and the points for the loop are honestly not worth it, but whatever. But it's kind of like a whoosh, and it's not whoosh, pause, whoosh, you know what I mean? It's like lutz, loop, and not lutz, pause, toe, And I love that. And I do love a good rip-on jump as well. Rip-on jumps, you guys don't know, 2 hands over the head. I love rip-on jumps, especially when their hands look really tightly, put together. And so when they jump, it looks like their arms are spinning as well. That's so cool. For example, Luna Hendricks is a great rip-on lutz. I love rip-on jumps. What else? I love rip-on jumps, especially too when it's like a double jump, little double toe loop at the end of something. I feel like it adds, it's not as impressive as a triple, but I'm doing a double and a little rip-on on it as well. I feel like it's so beautiful, but just my thoughts. Whew. Okay, so Rant number 6 is called 1994 Olympics Returning Skaters Rule Now? Question mark, question mark, question mark. But Alyssa Liu, obviously we all know they're coming back. We love, right? But it got me thinking about the 1994 Olympics. So if you guys didn't know, in the 1994 Olympics, the ISU was like, hey, if you want to come back this season and you're retired and you did shows, so you're not amateur skater, you're not competing anymore and you're professional now, you can totally come back to competition. And so how a lot of skaters came back to competition. Katarina Witt that was the season she came back to competition. She had previously been a show skater or whatnot, 'cause she retired after 1988, but she went to 1994 because of that loophole kind of rule. Brian Boitano also came back. Torval and Dean came back. So, it was a lot of these really big names from the decade previously that we saw come back because of this rule that said, if you're professional, you can totally come back to competition. And, eligibility rules are a little different nowadays, but I'm not really saying, like, what show skaters I want to see come back, just what skaters I would love to see come back in general. And I did see some rumors on Reddit floating around that the Shibitani, the Shipsits are coming back, Alex and Maya. I would love to see them back. But who else would I love to see back? Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poya. I love them. And I really would love if they came back in ice dance. Let me think, men. Oh my god, if Adam Rippon came back, that'd be so fun. I don't think he would, because he's doing, like, commentary, and he has, like, a whole ultra life, and he's been in Taylor Swift music video, and I wish. But, yeah, who else? Paulina Edmonds, I feel like she could come back. And, like, I would love that. I don't know. Who else has, like, retired recently? Or, like, in the last decade? Obviously, everyone wants to see Virtue Moyer come back. I would love to see that. I probably won't happen, but I would love to see that. Or Anna Cabellini, Luca Lanote. I would love that too. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. Like, Carolina Costner, I would love to see her come back. Imagine if Yuna came back. Imagine if Mal came back. Like, that'd be so fun. But yeah, kind of things like, I would love to see, professional skaters back. And now they did have professional competitions back in the day where the skaters who were turned professional, they had a competition for them that was just for professional skaters. They did have a thing called the Medal Winners Open in Japan a few times in the last decade, where it was these skaters who had retired, like Kimi Meissner, Joanny Rochette. They came back and they competed for a program, and it wasn't like your typical skating competition. It wasn't a short and a free. I believe it was just like it was like a modified version, I believe, and it was super cool. I feel like I would love to see a competition where it was just like retired skiers coming back and seeing what they can do. And I love that, we see that at the oh my god, Japan Open, yeah, Japan Open, right? Where we have on, like, teams of each team for, like, Europe, Japan, and North America, they have to have one retired skater. So we've had, like, we've had Mariah Nagasu come back, Mariah Bell. Yeah, every team has to have, like, a retired skater, and that's, like, super fun, I feel like. Ugh, my throat. Sorry, guys. And I would love to see that kind of thing coming back, but yeah. Okay, rant number 7. This sport is so expensive! ! Skating is not cheap, and I didn't realize. I knew it wasn't cheap. Like, obviously, it doesn't seem like a cheap sport. It doesn't seem like an easy, like, pickup sport, basically. Like, you can't just, like, like, basketball, like, there's tons of basketball courts around everywhere, and, like, you can just get a basketball, and you can play basketball. And, maybe, like, soccer, you can just get, like, even, like, you need more, like, you need cleats and, the soccer ball and, whatever else. I don't know. Gloves? I don't know. Even if, like, a sport like volleyball, like, you just need a volleyball. Like, I know a lot of them wear shin guards, right? And, those things are not cheap either. They can go up to the hundreds and stuff. But, like, I didn't realize how skating is, like, very, very expensive. Like, I'm not talking, like, oh, it's, like, a couple hundred. Like, I'm talking about a couple thousand people. Like, thousands. Skating is definitely not cheap. It is not a cheap sport. I knew that, but I didn't realize how not cheap it was. So I realized, like, skating equipment, ice time, coaching, flights, food, etc., they add up because, skating equipment especially is a big one. You have to realize, like, oh my gosh, like, they have to wear so much. They have to wear skates, obviously. They have to sharpen the blades. They got to get soakers and those, like, hard covers. And an outfit is so expensive, too. Maybe they got to get their makeup. They got to get their hair. They got to, they got to buy this. They got to buy, I don't know. They got to buy, like, I don't know. Lots of things. Like, so many things. Maybe their skates get worn out, they gotta buy new ones, or like the blade breaks, you gotta buy a new one. And like skates are so expensive. Like compared to like a basketball, and I don't mean to discredit other sports at all. Those sports incredible too. But like compared to like a basketball's a lot cheaper than like multiple pairs of skates and outfits and hair and makeup and flights and food and other stuff like crazy. And so I think obviously we've seen a lot, like, fundraisers for figure skaters, like, GoFundMe or, is it I don't know, GoFundMe, right? Yeah, I think it's GoFundMe is the main thing. Kickstarter, maybe? I don't know. But a lot of fundraising is super, well done. Done a lot by figure skaters, like, help support me, go to said competition, buy a flight, or la la la. A lot of skiers work other jobs, or they coach younger skiers, like, who are maybe, like, children, or, they work, like, a separate job, like, a different job, like, maybe they babysit, or I think, what other things have I heard skiers do? I think they, like, they work at stores, or, stuff like that, like, to, like, help sustain this sport because it's just so expensive. And a lot of them are students too. That's just crazy. They have children, they might have kids, like, but yeah, prize money is not a full salary, especially like considering the US. If you won worlds for singles, you get $64,000, which I'm not saying that's a lot of money, obviously, but when you take in, that's for you your whole life and also your figure skating career, like, to pay for all that. And so I really don't think is enough. And for pairs and ice dance, they get 90,000, but they have to split it. So each skater gets 45,000, which again, like, that's two people's lives. They might have families, they might have this, they might have that, and they might have they need separate costumes. They can have the same coach. They need separate blades. They need separate flight tickets, etc. And it's not even like everyone gets the money, obviously. Only the top 6 of each competition get money. So, like, let's say you're number 7, you're not getting money, I'm sorry. Like, if you're number 24, like, funding is probably not the best. In terms of, like, the prize money from competition. Like, funding from federation, like, your country, is not consistent for every country, but it's probably not a lot either, assumingly. Yeah, and a lot of skaters have to be self-funded, like, they have to make their own money, or, they have to borrow money, maybe, or their family, or, yeah. And so, yeah, I can't believe being a figure skater, because it's just so expensive, and the prize money is just not it. And it's so difficult to live, to, have life, maybe they go to university, college is so expensive, maybe they have a dorm, or an apartment, or they're renting a house, or something like that, so expensive. Food is expensive, especially food for, like, athletes, right? Like, they need, like, high quality stuff. And, yeah, this sport is so expensive, and, like, you don't realize it until you think about it. Sponsors obviously help, but, again, like, they probably cannot pay everything. And so, yeah. And, obviously it's not, like, anyone's fault, because, like, ISU is not, like, super duper rich, obviously. Like maybe other, like the NBA or the NFL, or, world swimming, or world aquatics, or like world gymnastics, or whatever. But yeah, I think we need money in skating really bad, and I really wish we had money in skating. But yeah, that is all for this week and this week's little rants. I know it's super random. We went through AI, and we went through my love for Jason Brown and Dennis Vasilev, and, money for skating, and comebacks, and what else do we do? Judges need money, what the best jump is, and why figure skating is definitely a sport. Yeah, and I know it was super wild and everything, but that's just how it is on the Teen Talk Skating podcast. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. Next week, I have been thinking about doing this episode since the beginning of the podcast. It's one of those ideas I've been coming up with for a very long time in my head, and I really want to work on how to format it and everything. I have some very exciting ideas for it. It is going to be related to something happening next week. I know, I feel like it is pretty obvious, maybe. I mean, it's obvious if you live in a certain country where I also live. I don't know. It's related to that, basically. And you guys will see. But it's like going to be a video essay episode, which I feel like you guys enjoy. And I love those so much, too. I want to make a lot more video essay themed episodes for figure skating because I feel like there's so much to talk about. But yeah, that is all for this episode on ranting my mind off because I am 18 who just talk all day. But thank you so much for listening to 18 Talk Skating podcast. My name is Van Gogh, and yeah, nothing more after that. Thank you so much for listening. I will hear from you guys next week. Bye-bye.